This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
So a few days ago, I did a post in the community tab, which was that only members can see, where I said that twice a month, as per my channel membership and YouTube agreement, that I will fulfill 2 Q&As for channel members each and every month. Now, for those of you who are not channel members, there is a link in the description box, or there'll also be one in the pinned comment section as well. So if you want to become a channel member and keep on posting me questions each and every month, then that's where you go, along with the many other perks that they get. But of course, if you're not a channel member, hey, that's cool. And I'll catch you guys on the live stream. Of course, that's where you guys can throw questions at me as well. Now, to do this Q&A, listen, I know that's quite a few of the channel members, and I do appreciate your comments where you said that don't worry about a Q&A or anything, I'm just happy to be part of the channel membership and help you out, all that kind of thing. So I do appreciate it, but please feel free to ask any kind of question that you could think of. All right, so we'll go through some of the questions that I did get. Now, first of all, start off with Tony T. Do you think Dillion should sue the WBC? And will you get an interview with Dillion White soon? So, do I think that he should sue the WBC? If he doesn't get the winner of Wilder and Fury from around about May, June, July kind of time, then yes. And the reason that I say that is because that was the original agreement, but they then changed it to February 2021 because he was going through a discrepancy with UCAD, which of course has now all been cleared up. He was never guilty in the first place. There's contamination, all that kind of stuff. So they should reinstate not only his interim world title and mandatory position, which they have done, but, well, effectively they haven't with the mandatory because they've made him secondary mandatory behind Tyson Fury. We all know the reasons why. But for me, I think that if Dillion doesn't get a satisfactory resolution with the WBC, then yes, I think that he should definitely set his lawyers upon them. No doubt about it. But again, you know, that's entirely down to Dillion. Of course, that's not for me to say. And will I get an interview with Dillion soon? Yes, I certainly will be. I spoke with him about 2-3 weeks ago, just like a general conversation about certain things. And yes, of course, I will be one of a few that he will do a interview with. So yes, that will be happening very, very soon. So stay tuned for that one. LJ Mack, is it true Dillion's next fight will be against Ruiz? So Andy Ruiz Jr. I don't know who it's going to be against. That's something that I haven't spoken to him about. But for me, listen, Dillion, according to the can, man, okay, so he will take challenges. He will risk his #1 position in the WBC, his interim world heavyweight title, and of course his mandatory position against whomever knocks on the door. Okay, this is what Dillion White does. For me, he's done all the hard work. Okay, he's got himself in the position. He should have got a world title shot a long time ago for the WBC, but for all reasons that we're all fully aware of, he ain't getting that world title shot. So what does he do now, between now and then? Now, for me, where he's pretty much guaranteed to fight the winner of Wilder Fury, will it be 2020 or will it be February 2021 at the latest? Either way, he's going to get a world title shot, providing he doesn't take a loss along the way, right? Okay, that's factual. Now, for me, he needs to be fighting someone tall. Wilder and Fury are both tall. Fury 6'9", Wilder 6'7". So for me, I think Dillion needs to be fighting those kind of height to get used to the range, that kind of thing. There's no point in fighting a 6-foot fighter like Andy Ruiz Jr. when there's a whole world of difference between the height and, of course, the fighting style. So for me, I think Ruiz is probably the wrong kind of opponent. And as is Povetkin, as is Michael Hunter, and a few other ones that I know some names have been thrown around. But I think that, me personally, I would go just for the tall fighters. Don't take high risk, but Dillion will always take high risk anyway. It's what he's consistently done for like the past couple of years. But I think that to help him prepare for the winner, tall fighters, rangy fighters, a bit of risk, sure. But I mean, heavyweight, every fight that he takes is a risk, isn't it? But I'm talking the kind of Marius Wax kind of guys. Now, I know that's not what boxing fans want to hear, but for me, he's already earned it. So why does he need to go fight any kind of risky fights? Don't get me wrong, I think he beats Ruiz, he beats Povetkin, he beats all these guys, but I think that to help him prepare to be in better stead for the Wilder Fury winner, as and when that happens, tall fighters. That's what I would certainly be looking at. But would it be Ruiz next? I wouldn't be at all surprised. Again, from LJ Mack, who should Triple D fight next? So Daniel Dubois. I like his progression. I know some people disagree, that they want to see how good he is. Throw him in with the Sharks, sink or swim. For me, it's all about progression. He's, 22 years old, and how he's been moved along by Frank Warren is brilliant, I think. Of course, we're all impatient. We all want to see him in with the Chisoras and everything of the world. But again, I mean, could he beat Chisora? Potentially. I mean, Dan Dubois could be anybody if he lands on them. But it's a case of he hasn't been tested himself. He hasn't had to go through the trenches. He hasn't had to go through round after round after round. He needs a few stiffer opposition for sure. And I think an easy fight for him to make would be a Joe Joyce fight. But again, I mean, from a logical and business point of view, I can understand if Frank Warren is apprehensive about making that fight, because obviously the winner continues, but of course the loser is going to have a bit of a rebuilding process. So for me, I mean, should he risk Joe Joyce versus Dan Dubois? I don't know. I mean, maybe. I mean, it's a fight that everybody would tune in to watch. But I don't know. I think that Dubois, he needs to be fighting the European level kind of guys. That's what I would do if I was Daniel Dubois. Right, Nick Harmer. If Fury beats Wilder convincingly, and as I hope and suspect, do you think AJ Fury fight will be bigger globally than AJ Wilder unification, as I do? Also, your thoughts on the rumours Canelo leaving Golden Boy for hopefully Matchroom, leaving excellent possibility of Billy Joe Saunders or Callum Smith fight. Okay, so the first part of your question there, Nick, was do I think that the AJ Fury fight will be globally bigger than AJ Wilder for Undisputed? Absolutely. I really do. I think that with or without the belts, AJ and Fury is probably the biggest fight you could possibly make. I really do, as of right now. We could put in there like a Dillion White. Obviously, if Dillion White becomes WBC champion, fights Joshua for Undisputed, again, that's a mega fight. Much like it would be, let's be real, for Fury and Dillion White. If these guys just fought, which they could end up doing before we even see Undisputed. Again, that's a mega fight. But you're talking for Undisputed, so Joshua in an Undisputed fight against Wilder or Fury, for me, Joshua Fury by tenfold. I mean globally, not just UK. UK is obvious, right? But globally, tenfold. Wilder is just not a seller. He just isn't. He's not a big name. As much as his fans would like to proclaim that he is, the numbers don't lie. He just isn't. So Joshua Wilder, yes, it would be a big fight, but nowhere near as big as Joshua Fury, in my opinion. And rumours on Canelo leaving Golden Boy for hopefully Matchroom. I don't know. I know that these guys are having like a bit of a lukewarm relationship, Golden Boy and Canelo, as in Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo. But again, I don't know what the contract is with Canelo and Golden Boy, so I don't know if any of that's true. I really don't. But if he does end up leaving Golden Boy, then that's Oscar De La Hoya up shit creek without a paddle, isn't it? And yes, he probably would go with Eddie Hearn, because obviously he's contracted to DAZN regardless. So yeah, I mean, a fight with Canelo against Billy Joe Saunders or Callum Smith, I think these fights are probably inevitable anyway. So whether he stays with Golden Boy or whether he doesn't, I think that these fights will happen anyway. But if he does end up leaving Golden Boy, yeah, I do believe it will be with Eddie Hearn. Nathan Kerr. Hey, bro, hope you and the family are enjoying Christmas holidays. And I've come up with a question. Cool. If you could go back in time and be at ringside for any fight in history, which fight would you choose and why? Ooh, that's a good one. I think from a personal perspective, I think probably Frank Bruno versus Oliver McCall, when Frank Bruno won the WBC heavyweight world title. Because even on TV, I mean, listen, I'm still a kid at this point, but I'm emotionally invested into it, as pretty much the whole country was at this point, in the hope that Frank Bruno would finally pass the acid test and become heavyweight champion, due to the fact that he failed on quite a few occasions beforehand. So Frank Bruno finally getting the title that the whole country wished for, that would be why. Much like, for example, this was there or there about the same kind of era where Jimmy White for snooker. Listen, I'm not a big snooker fan, but back then, the whole country was invested in Jimmy White becoming the world champion at snooker. He always get to the final, but then fall against the like Steve Davis and that, for example, and others. So yeah, that kind of vein. I think for a British nationality kind of perspective, I think that Frank Bruno versus Oliver McCall would be a fight that I would love to have been at. That is for sure. Blackout, big up to you. Hey, Sporting Icons, do you know the NBBC? Now, I only knew about that. There's a community. I believe that there's a community. I only knew about this like a few days ago. I mean, I don't really follow the kind of communities. There's quite a few in that flying around. Purely because where there's communities, there does tend to be a few problems. But what I know of it, it seems like a pretty good one, with obviously like a DT3 and IBFP. A part of their Mara Magnus, of course, Boxing Logics United, and I think it's Andrew Tucker. I think he's part of them. I'm sure there's probably plenty more, but it's not something I tend to look at too much. For me, I just tend to like channels for what they are, like individually. Collectively, they can be whatever. I mean, doing a community was something that I looked at about 2 years ago, but to be honest with you, I don't really have time for it for myself. So yeah, I listen, of what I've seen of these guys, I like these guys anyway. So yeah, continue and keep spreading the NBBC. Big up to all you guys. So that is all the questions. As I said, so the other ones, Daryl Alexander, Merry Christmas to you too. And of course to Foss444, big up to you in that as well. As I said, please feel free to drop questions in the community post. As for everybody else, if you want to become a channel member, you know what to do. It's in the description box and of course in the pinned comment section of this video. So that is a Q&A for the channel members as part of my YouTube agreement. Drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.